the same, do they go through the same vetting process like they would if they were regular tenants? Can you do
Absolutely.
credit checks on them and so on as well?
Yes. And so the thing with this is that if they have a voucher, right, there's a third party involved. Whereas if you have a regular tenant, it's just the landlord and the tenant, right? In
Hmm.
this case, we have a third party that is basically saying, okay, I'm going to be paying on behalf of this tenant. So, yes, we do still do the same checks and balances that we do with a regular tenant. So, background check, rental check, credit check. However, in the case of rental check, almost always, in my experience, I've seen that they've had some type of rental history issue, hence
Hmm.
them being on the program in the first place.
No. Okay.
Right. So maybe there were some evictions or some broken leases in the past
Mhm.
because they couldn't afford, and that's why they're on the program. So things like that don't necessarily hold as much weight with someone who has a voucher. Also credit. I would go as far as to say credit would not be something that should really hold a lot of weight. Again, we have this government entity that will be paying on behalf of this tenant, right?
Yeah.
So credit is, and that's another thing, and I'm sorry to jump all over the place, but there are compliance elements built within the program, meaning if
Okay.
they're not paying their portion like they should, I mean, they can get evicted like any other tenant, right? The thing though with the voucher tenant, and they all understand this, that if they don't pay their portion, on time or maybe over the course of a few months, I mean, you can still enforce your lease as you would a regular tenant. They don't want to lose their vouchers. They don't want to,
Bingo.
they know what it takes,
Yeah.
right? They know what it
Hmm.
takes to keep these vouchers. So they're going to pay. You may have some that pay late, and that's where you enforce your lease. If there's a late fee or whatever, you just enforce the lease as you would with a regular tenant.
Mm.
But yeah, I think because there are compliance elements built within the voucher program, I think
Mhm.
that's where we have the safety net. That's another thing. They can't just up and move when they want to.
Mhm. Mhm.
If they decide they don't want to renew their lease, then they have to go through housing, right? The public housing authority, and they have to get permission. And guess who else they have to get permission from? The landlord.
Absolutely.
Versus a regular tenant, they can up and move today or tomorrow. Honestly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We have a contract, sure, but the reality is they can up and move and you never see them again. Versus someone with a voucher, if they do that, they lose their voucher. Hence the compliance element that I was just speaking on. So, yeah.